Hello, everybody. We are doing another live chat. This time I am talking with Erin MacDonald from Wild and Found. Hey, Erin, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Very, very good. So, we're still stuck inside. This really
Yeah.
sucks.
As you can see, I went shopping yesterday and bought all these flowers for my apartment just so that I felt like I had some life in here.
Nice. So, well, let's talk about getting outside since we aren't outside. Um, what have you been doing to keep yourself sane and getting yourself outside as much as you can?
Well, right now I'm kind of bummed. We were just talking. I just learned that the Mount Pleasant Cemetery, which was kind of my abode to get away, is being closed. So that's kind of where I've been going for the last, I don't know, 3 weeks now. I feel like it's just kind of blurring at this point. Um, but that's definitely been where I've been trying to kind of escape to, and it's connected to the ravine system.
Yeah.
So um, I don't know if the ravines are going to be closed too. Then I'm going to be a little bit limited. So I have a dog park just outside of my building, so at least there's a little bit of grass. But
Yeah.
uh, Torontonians are definitely getting squeezed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, even where I am. Oh, we got. Hey, Ken's watching. Um, yeah. Even where I am. I mean, I'm lucky. I'm right near the lake, and there's the waterfront trail there, so I'm able to go out for a walk on that, which is nice. And people generally are keeping their distance, which is good.
yeah,
Unfortunately, some people still want it to be closed. They're like, close it down, close it down. It's like, come on. I mean, honestly, for my mental health, I need to get outside. If I don't
yeah,
get outside doing something, I'm gonna break. Like,
hmm
I can
yeah.
give it till the end of the month, but if I can't get out somewhere, I'm gonna have to go somewhere. I mean, I won't go near anybody. I will.
You're a rebel.
Well, no, not rebel. I mean, if I went up to Crown Land or something like that,
Yeah,
honestly, what am I going to see? Nobody. I will be putting the canoe on the car, driving up, getting gas, paying at the pump, so I don't even have to go near a person, and then I'll not see anybody for a week, and I'll
yeah,
be much safer, and I won't have come into contact with somebody. If I have to
yeah,
go to the grocery store, I'm going to meet like 50 people.
yeah,
I don't get the point of closing down the outdoors. Like
yeah.
it's very frustrating.
Yeah, I get it though. I mean, I think it's important as much as like it's hard. I think it's important to kind of keep things contained. Um, I went up to my parents pretty much the weekend that things really kind of hit the fan, and
Hmm.
I debated on whether or not to even go. And I only ended up going for about 12 hours because I was just so paranoid that I was bringing something to them
Yeah.
from Toronto. So I can appreciate why people are so kind of stressed out about the city because there's so many people in the city and
Yeah.
our proximity to each other is that much
Yeah.
closer. We're apt to potentially be carriers even if we don't realize we are. So I can I can completely appreciate the mentality and the reasons why they would want people to stay where they are, and hopefully people do, and hopefully this kind of
I'm
um,
amazed. We won't talk too much about this because there's a lot of people out there still who are working and stuff. So, like, what the hell?
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about other stuff when you are allowed outside. What kind of stuff do you like to do?
What do I do? I'm big into hiking, and I've got into paddleboarding in recent years. That's kind of been my big thing. I started doing my hiking and getting kind of up to Algonquin probably about 6 years ago, 6 or 7. It could be longer than that, I feel like. But it hasn't been super long. It hasn't been something that I've been doing my entire life. Weirdly enough, I was in very close proximity to it, living in Aurelia when I was growing up. But then once I kind of got exposed to it, then I've been going up ever since. But I started out doing kind of just the day hikes on the recreational trails. And then once I'd done most of those, I was looking for a little bit more of a challenge. So I started to I did like the Provoking Lake
Oh
hike,
yeah,
just like the short one. And that was kind of my first kind of entry into backcountry, and I really enjoyed it. I liked the solitude and the challenge, and just kind of exposing myself to the great outdoors that way. That's not so much car camping. And it's just kind of gone from there. Um, and then two, for me, the stand-up paddleboarding, living in the city, buying a canoe is not practical. Like it would take up
no,
half the apartment. Um, So that's not been really an option, even though I'd love it to be. So last summer I invested in my stand-up paddleboard, which has kind of given me a whole new kind of avenue to take when it comes to getting outside, and getting out even on Toronto Harbor was really awesome. But I bought the Voyager, the red Voyager, which is I think 12.6, and specifically because I wanted to use it, not necessarily just for recreational kind of bopping around in the lake. I really wanted to challenge myself, and this summer was going to be my year to start to challenge myself to do some more backcountry paddling, camping. So hopefully that'll.
What was the first backcountry stand-up paddleboard you did? Was that the one that I came along with you in October?
Yeah, that was my first like paddle into a site.
Nice.
That was a test and just getting a sense of it. I mean, I think this year my goal was just to get a better sense of my setup, because even when we were getting all set up and getting everything like put together, I just felt like it was still a little bit scattered, and I didn't know where everything was. And even though I thought I was organized, I wasn't. So this year, that was my kind of hope, is to really try to narrow down my system and get all the gear that I wanted and have it be more lightweight and those kind of, which would then allow me to feel a little bit more confident when I get out there. So hopefully I had a trip booked back to Tanamakun for May long weekend, and that was, I didn't know if it would be too early, but I figured I'd try, see what the kind of the ice out was looking like, and if the weather worked, then that's a short paddle in that would have been a little bit more tangible. And then in this later in the summer, I had booked, and I'm crossing my fingers for Canada Day weekend up in Killarney. So
nice.
Booked 4 nights actually, 2 car camping so I could do some hiking, but then the last 2 were going to be paddling in and getting kind of more backcountry style. So I'm crossing my fingers that will still come to pass. But yeah, we'll see.
Nice. Before I keep going, I want to mention to anybody who's watching that you have some cool wild and found stuff that you want to give away.
Yeah. So
what do you got?
Stickers, like a whole pack of stickers, and then I've got some T-shirts and stuff like that. So we were gonna do a giveaway towards the end of the chat.
Yeah.
So if you want to ask any questions, then we're probably gonna look at all the people that ask questions and kind of do a random draw based on that. So
nice. Yes.
Here, ask some questions.
Please ask questions. We'd love to answer any questions that you guys have. So that's cool. Yeah, so that time that we went, that was good. That was actually my first time first time camping with my new canoe, the cruiser, the solo one.
Yeah, that was cute.
That was a lot of fun. It was really good.
Yeah.
So stand-up paddleboarding, you had me doing that for the first time on the episode of Get Outside that we shot, which I'm not sure it's going to be airing. Those are going to be airing soon. I haven't got an official date for it. Just if you have Bell, go to TV1 and take a look. It'll show up in the list once it's there. I'm guessing it'll be. I don't think this shutdown will have delayed it coming on. But anyway, so we did an episode where you took me stand-up paddleboarding.
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh, it was okay. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be. Way harder.
Yeah, I'll give you some credit though, because there's a part of me that thinks that the board that you were on. So I'm an inflatable paddleboard.
Yeah.
So you kind of based on how much you're pumping it up, you can kind of give yourself a little bit of give on it. But even I found those, because we were on the hard paddleboard.
Yeah.
I found those a little bit more tippy than even mine. So as much as I was like clearly more comfortable on it than you were, I still found them a little bit challenging. I was always a little bit like thinking that I was going to potentially flip depending on if I moved a little bit to this way or that way. So I know you have talent.
It took me a while. Actually, first getting up, the getting up wasn't that bad. You could get up and stand, but I found that like after 10 seconds of standing, my knees were like jello, like they were shivering. I had to get back down. It was crazy. It was only until about halfway through the day that I actually was able to stay up and paddle from up there. I was watching the footage. I thought I was more comfortable than I looked. Even once I was doing it, I looked like totally stiff, hardly moving. What's that?
You're like Bambi on a board.
And oh my god, the amount of muscles that you use. Like
Yeah,
2 days after that, I couldn't move.
for sure.
Yeah,
I'll never forget the first time that I went paddleboarding. I was actually in Tofino, and we went out. I really wanted to get out to do a kind of a sunset paddle, and so we went out. It's actually so I can't think of his name right now. That's horrible, but he is on social media. He's Roots of Change. It's this guy. He's traveling all over the world, and he's trying to do it without any kind of motorized vehicles or anything like that. So he actually was the guy that took me out, which
oh
I
wow.
riot. But yeah, so we had gone out, and I was fine. I found the one thing, it wasn't really the whole body that was bugging me, but my feet were on fire because you're activating the muscles in your feet constantly, right?
Yeah.
So that was what I found. And even when I started on this paddleboard, there were times where I'm like, okay, I got to get down on my knees just to give my feet a break because you really are. You don't realize that how much you're activating like your
Yeah.
muscles. So yeah, I think people take for granted how easy it is. Um,
Oh,
and two, it's just a lot of balance and whatnot that you're having to kind of do.
cool. Got a couple of questions. Are you planning your pack weight for the stand-up paddleboard? Like how much pack weight, I guess, can you have on
My
there?
board, it can, I think it's up to about 280 pounds it will take. So I haven't really done like a true weighting.
Yeah.
I try to balance the weight based on like front and back because the paddleboard that I have, you can tie on the front and the back. So it's just a really, for me right now, it's just trying to get a sense of ensuring that the weight's distributed
Right.
properly on the board so that I don't get out there and fall in or tip over. I would say probably based on what we took, I'd be looking at probably 25 to 30 pounds maybe, and then me.
Yeah.
So I think I've been a little bit cautious in terms of how much I'm willing to take on these first couple runs that I've done. And again, it's all just me learning. I'm definitely not the most experienced person, but I like to challenge myself and try new things.
Nice.
So yeah,
I was often wondering. I mean, obviously you tied it to the deck. That was one thing I was wondering before I saw you doing that, whether you would put it on the deck or wear it as a backpack. But I guess you don't want to
yeah,
wear it as a backpack because that puts a lot of weight up high.
yeah, you want it down low.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this season I've reinvested. So I just ordered. Like, of course, it's the year that we can't really use anything, but so I've reinvested. I bought like a new summer bag. I bought a new a super lightweight pad for sleeping, and I just literally yesterday got a new just a one person North Face tent. So, and they're all probably half the weight of all the other ones that I have. So I'm
Nice.
kind of doubled up on my gear, which I think is a true example of an outdoorsman. I just have so much gear. I can't believe how much I have for a one bedroom apartment in Toronto. But
You can never have too much gear.
no,
That's all.
thank God
Yeah.
for storage spaces.
Kelly's asking, how is your pack secured to the paddleboard?
So I'm using mostly dry bags. I haven't. I'm considering actually getting probably like I think it's water sack.
Hmm.
I don't know. But yeah, it's mostly just they have like actual bungee cords, and then
Right.
I've gone and bought some bungee cords that I've just kind of affixed to it. So they're pretty solid. Like I've been impressed by how flexible they are, but also like they're not budging once you've got it down.
Yeah.
It's pretty solid. I haven't had to worry about it.
I I know you take a lot of photos from your paddleboard. That watching you do that, it freaks me out. I mean, I'm worried about using my camera in a canoe, and you're
Yeah,
standing on this thing where it could just
my
fall in the
hands
water.
I don't know. I just if I'm out there, then I want to be able to take
Oh, for
advantage of
sure.
it.
Yeah.
I have my phone, which you were laughing like I can't believe you're using your phone. But I think once you get comfortable on the board, then you're willing to kind of take those.
Yeah.
I don't even really consider them chances because the board itself, I think you really have to get out on it to realize how stable it is. It's
Yeah.
very stable. I've literally fallen on my ass thinking I was gonna like topple
Oh,
over,
wow.
and even budge. Like I basically like bounced on the board. Like it's not, you're not gonna fly off. You be hard pressed on the board that I have
Yeah.
to tip, in my opinion.
Hmm.
I think too, I'm smaller using a bigger board, so you really have to, with the
Right.
stand
Yeah.
board, probably like canoes too. Like you really have to buy for what your size is.
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna face some issues. But for the most part, I'm comfortable. I want to get photos, so and I'm using like my DSLR for certain photos. I have like a little point and shoot Olympus Tough that I've taken out because it's waterproof, so I feel like comfortable with that one. And then my phone, so I'm kind of geared up. I actually have a GoPro too that I bought, like all the like the things that kind of screw into the front and stuff, and I'm still trying to kind of get comfortable with GoPros. I'm not using it the way that it should be.
How far did you paddle in the backcountry on that? How far was that? Because you've only done that once so far in backcountry on it, right?
Yeah, just the one, and that I think that was about 4 or 5K total.
Yeah, at the most, yeah. It wasn't insanely far, no.
No, no, it only took us about maybe 40 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, and it rained on us.
On the way back, on the
Yeah.
way there, it was fine.
Oh, yeah, the way there was okay, but on the
Oh,
way back, we got really rained on.
yeah, yeah, we did not. We thought we'd get a window, but
And it was cold rain because it was October.
and then it was just like that was it. But whatever.
Did you stay on your feet the whole time in the rain, or did you go on your knees at that point?
No, I was stood the whole time.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I
I
guess
just
it doesn't make a difference, really.
Well, I wanted it to be over and like an hour more with standing up, and I don't know. I'm one of those people. Like, what's the quote they say? Like, what happens if it rains? Well, you're
Yeah.
gonna get wet. So it's just roll with it. It is what it is, and it wasn't a super cold rain. It was actually kind of refreshing. So
What
I
about
didn't.
what about wind? How does wind affect you on there?
I haven't actually paddled in a lot of like windy weather yet. I'm sure that that would probably be a bit more
Yeah,
problematic, and that you'd want to kind of get down. And but I think that for me, that's one of the things I love about paddleboarding is that you can move around. Canoes are like they're great. I love canoes. I've canoed most of my life, but I really liked the freedom when I got out for the first time. I was like, oh, I can like stand up, I can sit down, I can
yeah,
kneel. Just the freedom of movement is probably why I favor the stand-up paddleboard, just because I have that option
yeah,
to move and to change position and whatnot. You're not sitting in the same position the
yeah,
entire time.
yeah.
Unless, I mean, canoeing, you can go on your knees as well, but generally, you're probably not unless you're
Yeah,
so.
and depending on what kind of canoe, like my that cruiser, you're sitting like you are in a kayak. You're on a seat,
Yeah,
so you're not really going to be moving from that.
yeah. So, I mean, on a long paddle, you're not going to be stretching much, but on a paddleboard, like you would have
Yeah,
that option. You could stretch and kind of move a little bit
or
different.
sit down and lounge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I've used it like that. I've sat on it for and paddled like it was a canoe. But yeah, you have that freedom. So
well, that's pretty cool.
yeah.
What we talked obviously about the rain we had and stuff like that, but what I guess has been the most challenging thing you've encountered in either backcountry camping or in just out for the day. Not just necessarily on the stand up paddleboard. It could be anything.
I think the most challenging hike I've ever had, and probably it's the one trip that almost broke me. Um, and I'm sure we all have kind of had those trips where you're just like at your wits' end. But it was the Berg Lake Trail out in BC, on Mount Robson. There's this absolutely beautiful hike, but you hike for about 10K and it's fairly flat and pretty leisurely and you're good. And then there's this 4K section that's just switchback and it's so steep. Um, and they all say like if you can get through that, you can get through anything. But that 4K stretch, just because of the incline that you were kind of pushed through,
Yeah,
probably the hardest I've ever. Like I was literally swearing at the trail, walking up the trail, like full on cursing at the trail. So yeah, that I think, and that for me was just it was the mental. It was just relentless.
yeah,
So in that sense, I think that was the hardest. But I'm also the kind of person like I've been doing long distance running most like all my life really, and like that half marathons, those kind of treks, and I'm kind of turned on just by that, the physical challenge of it, the mental challenge of it. So I think that's too why I've kind of liked doing the hiking and getting out into the backcountry kind of hikes, or being like, okay, I'm going to learn how to stand up paddle, and I want to go backcountry. And for me, it's in nature and getting out in nature, but I really like the physical and mental challenge of
Yeah.
getting out those spaces, and putting myself in a place that I wouldn't be living in Toronto, like,
Yeah.
or even Australia, like, for that matter. Like, you have to really force yourself to get out into those places, and have to be the kind of person that's willing to kind of take the punches where they come, and know that you're not in control out there, and be
That
okay with it.
that is cool. I do like that. There's been many things that I've done that have really, really sucked at the time. Like last summer, we had that paddle, which was supposed to be 45 minutes, and a beaver dam took away all the water from the creek. It took us 5.5 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there was a thunderstorm, too, as we're through this marsh. It was crazy. And there's been other things where it's just bad weather, or it's cold, or whatever. I could deal with that better than sitting at home right now with what's going
Yeah,
on. This is
yeah.
absolute
Affected
torture.
by what you're going through.
I
Yeah,
feel like these months of my life are being wasted completely. It's a complete waste of my life. But, yeah.
we weren't going to talk about that, Ben.
Yeah, well, I'm stuck here, aren't I? um, another question. Oh, we got a couple more questions.
Okay.
Let's see.
Hi, Tina.
Um,
I see you.
oh, is Tina on there? Where's Tina?
Tina's there. Hi, Will. Hi, Kelly.
So, how are the stand-up paddleboards in choppy waves and water? You said you've been out on Toronto Harbor. How has the water been on there? Has it been choppy at all? Because that seems to be a really big body.
It's where I've been hasn't been super
Hmm.
choppy. Again, I haven't. I'm sure at some point I'm gonna hit some choppy weather. I haven't been out on it so far. Again, I'm pretty trusting of my paddleboard. I think it's pretty stable, and I think you really just have to kind of play it. In any kind of choppy weather, I'd probably be getting down on my knees, just so that I feel like I'm a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
in control and not gonna like fly off. But
Oh my God, I
um,
went for a walk down by the lake today, and this morning it was dead calm. I was so tempted to come back and get my canoe and just go out.
that's where I want to be right now. I've
Yeah.
never been tempted to go down, but then I realized all the parking lots are boarded off, so I
Yeah, so
can't
if,
even.
even for me to get to Duffins Creek where we did the stand-up paddleboarding, it's a 3K hike for me with the canoe
Yeah,
because I can't drive over there.
yeah.
Let's see. How did you get into stand-up paddleboarding?
For me, it was I loved my first experience with stand-up paddleboarding in Tofino, and it's always kind of been in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Um, and I've been saying that I was probably going to move up to Muskoka at some point in the nearish future, but that hasn't happened yet. So, and I was always saying, okay, yeah, when I move up north, I'm going to go and I'm going to buy my canoe and I'm going to invest in all these things, and that just hasn't happened yet. So for me, the practical solution was to invest in a paddleboard and kind of dive into that. And I did read an article, I think it was in the Globe and Mail, of a woman who was doing backcountry kind of long expedition style trips, and I was like, wait a second, like that's an option. Like there's
Yeah.
paddleboards to do that, and so I kind of did my research and saved up quite a bit of money to buy my first paddleboard, and now I love it and I have it, and now it's like, where can I go? Where can I? And I think the nice thing too about the paddleboard that I have, and any inflatable paddleboard, is that you can just throw it in your trunk and you can go
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
So you're not really limited to
How
where
heavy is
you.
it?
I think it's about 28
Oh,
pounds.
wow. That's more than
Yeah,
my cruiser.
yeah, yeah. It's like, yeah,
But that's more than my cruiser. My cruiser's 25 pounds. Holy cow.
it may be similar, but yeah, it's under 30 and over 20, so it's within, yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, the ones that we used in the show were pretty heavy because they were solid. I was surprised how heavy
Yeah,
they were. Yeah.
yeah. I had trouble carrying that.
Kelly wants to know what's your dream hike?
My dream hike. I have a few. I just actually watched the other night. I watched The Way again. I don't know if you
No,
watched
I haven't
that,
seen that.
but it's about the El Camino
Oh,
Trail.
okay.
So that's now kind of been planted in my brain that I really want to do that. Um, I'd say like the West Coast Trail, East Coast Trail is kind of on my radar, and I'm definitely somebody in a lot of ways that I like to kind of do something that people haven't done as often. So
Right.
like the PCT and those, I mean, yeah, they're dream hikes I'd love to do, but I feel like everybody's doing them. So
Have you
if I
you haven't done
do,
Pakasa, have you?
no,
Oh,
I haven't. Yeah, there's so much to
that's
explore.
the best. Love that place. I went up last summer in August, end of August, and it had been like over 20 years since I'd been there before
Hmm.
backcountry camping, and that is just amazing. I'm gonna have to go up again this summer at some point because it's funny. You get out in the outdoors, and all of us that do it know how good it is for your soul. It's good for your
Yeah.
mental health. It's amazing. But
Hmm.
even after doing it multiple times, there's still the odd times that you feel like it's changed you even more. And that place is like that. Like it's
Hmm.
tough. I mean, we had 2 days of rain on the first 2 days, and you're climbing up, these really big mountainous hills and stuff. And yeah, it's really, really hard. But when you're looking out across, the forest on top, I remember I was looking out and have one photo looking due east, and all you see is trees. And when you realize that on a map, you're looking across probably at least 100 kilometers of where there's not a single road, no access road, nothing. It's pure wilderness that probably nobody's even ever actually walked in. That is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I feel like I've had those moments a lot in when I've been out in BC. Those moments for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, I forgot even I had booked and currently am booked in to do the La Cloche Trail in Killarney. Hopefully at the end of July. So that's been on my bucket list for a long time. I'm a huge fan of the Group of Seven. I've been like loving them since I was probably in grade six. Ask anybody in my family. That's all the artwork that I just adore. So um, once I learned that their connection to the La Cloche mountains and whatnot, I've been wanting to do that hike for a long time. So again, like this is the year I had all these like plans, and I think we all do. And now it's just crossing our fingers to see if they'll actually come to pass. But yeah, La
Yeah.
Cloche there for a long time, and that one's at least a little bit more accessible than some of these big crazy trails that you hear about in
Yeah.
all the movies and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's cool. Does anybody else have any other questions here? We've got people saying hi. Hello, everybody, which is cool. Um, let's see. What was I was going to ask you something in particular. I can't remember what it was. What would your most memorable moment be? Is there like not necessarily a whole trip, but is there any particular moment that you've
Mm.
experienced out there that's just like burned into your brain?
I'm a little simple things. I remember the first time that I went out on the Highland
Okay,
Trail.
yeah.
And again, little simple. I'm a pretty simple person. I always like seeing little details and things. And for me, like for that trip, it was just sitting out at night and seeing all the fish coming to the surface, feeding. Like I don't know, I was mesmerized by that. And again, it's just not something that would ever have kind of gone into my head
Yeah.
prior to that. I sat there probably for a good like 40 minutes just watching the ripples in the water. So those kind of things that always kind of hit me because it's like yeah, there's like a whole other world that I don't even know about.
Yeah.
Um, those kind of things. Um, I last summer I was out on a crown land site that a friend of mine had um, given me access to, and I spent the night there. And I totally got rained out, and like, but that morning I got up really early for the sunrise, and there were like these loons in the distance, and it's definitely on my Instagram feed. Um, that morning is that will always stand out for me because it was just such a beautiful experience to have these loons in the mist, and it was just like that iconic kind of summer Muskoka scene, and I was all by myself, so that was just nice to kind of have those moments. But yeah, the paddleboard in the morning, like I've been out last summer, I was out quite a bit with my friend Michelle. We called ourselves the Breakfast Club. We'd go out and do some sunrise paddles
Nice.
on Bass Lake. And those were just like beautiful mornings, like not a soul in sight. And you just kind of can just watch the sunrise and drink your coffee and just kind of chill out while the rest of the world sleeps. And
Yeah.
I think that's something too that I've always really loved about backcountry camping is that like the world is sleeping and you're rising with nature
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
It's just such a neat kind of experience to have that.
What about wildlife? Any cool wildlife encounters?
Are you talking about my moose?
No, I don't know. Have you told me a moose story? I don't know if you did or not. I can't
Oh,
remember.
I'm sure because I've mentioned it a bunch of times. I don't know. Aside from so this winter I was out at my parents' and I've finally kind of recovered from it, but I'd gone out behind my parents' place, and my dad, I mean, he's the most outdoorsy guy I know. But he was out in the backyard, and he's like, "Oh yeah, there's some moose prints." And I'm like, "What?" So, and there's never been moose behind my parents' house, like ever. Maybe a couple bears, but I've never heard of moose. So I was fascinated. I'm like, "Oh, maybe I'll see some moose. That would be cool." And then I went like literally 5 minutes later, and I walked down the trail with my parents' dog, and sure enough, there were moose there. And I went down to get my camera and came back up, and the cow was like charging down the trail. I dropped everything, and I was literally like ran my ass off to get away from it. And I'm sure it probably stopped, but I wasn't looking back to see. And so that was like that scared the crap out of me, and I was still to this day I'm amazed at how quickly she was coming.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I totally
Wow.
underestimate their speed, and it made me really um I mean, I've seen them in Algonquin. I've seen people, the hordes of people that are like taking pictures of them when they're in the swamps and stuff like that. And I've kind of rolled my eyes just seeing that. I mean, I get what their fascination, but I've always been like, that's not safe. But after the experience I had at my parents, I'm like, that's not safe. Like, I should not be doing that. I'll never ever do it again.
Nice.
And even like a week prior to that, I had been up in Algonquin, and there were moose around. And I did stop the car and kind of turn around, go back, and started walking down the road to see if I could get a shot. And that, even doing that, knowing what I know now, is stupid. Like, there's just, I'll never do it again. It's just not worth it. So,
I actually have saw two bear this last summer, and I've never seen any while I've been camping before that. One
yeah.
was on our way out on Little Hay Lake, paddling out, and it was walking along the shore. So we were downwind, so it was great. We could watch it for quite a while. It had just crossed over the creek that we had to paddle up as well. And then the second one was in August. I took a friend of my sister's camping. It was her first time ever backcountry camping. I think she'd only been camping once with my sister before, like at regular car camping. And we were hiking along the Portage Trail, and probably about 20, 30 meters from me, this bear. And as soon as it heard us, though, it just shot off through the forest. Like it was like a cannonball going through the woods. So, I mean, that was good because that's what they're going to do. That was very reassuring that it ran away.
Two,
Um,
two other encounters I had then,
yeah.
and one, I guess one's not, they're not even really encounters, but the first time I was on Highland, my first night ever camping by myself at night. And I remember I went to bed, and it was probably like 1 o'clock in the morning. And all I heard was like just, and it almost felt like I was like feeling the vibration of it too. But this, I'm assuming it was a wolf was chasing a rabbit or something like that, and it literally ran up right beside my tent. But
Wow.
like I could feel the pounding of it because I was kind of on a rock. So that scared the crap out of
It
me
might have been
because
a fox chasing a mouse.
it could have been. It could have
Because
been.
I'll tell you, everything in your tent at night when you're on your own sounds way
Everything
bigger.
was out there. But it was literally like panting outside my tent. And then again,
Cool.
this is the first time I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Yeah, it was I don't
Oh,
know. I love what I did now because it's like, oh, but I literally remember being lying in my bed, like in the tent, and literally like shooting up and being like, oh my god, that's so fun. Yeah, no, it was
oh,
fun.
that is cool.
And the,
What else we got here? Questions. Oh, hammock versus tent. Oh, it depends. Yeah, I don't. I've slept in my hammock, actual hammock, a couple of times. It's okay as long as I can keep the bugs off. But I use the tent style tents a lot, so I'm up in the trees anyway. I like it for getting off the ground and having the
yeah,
illusion of being safer from animals. But I do like being on the ground too. It depends on the situation.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a good girl. I don't know that I could do.
Oh,
I
really?
I don't know that I could do the hammock. I still, it's weird. There's a weird security. It's totally psychological in being in a tent, and I don't know if it just feels more what I'm used to, but I
Yeah.
don't feel safe mentally. Like
I
it's
would.
totally
I don't feel safe in a hammock because I
no.
picture the thing just bumping into you and you're getting shaken around.
I
The tent style
for
tents, I feel fine.
a hammock. It's like I'm a human burrito.
Yeah, yeah.
you're,
Let's see. They definitely are lighter though. The hammock. If you can just take a hammock, that's awesome.
hi, Mark. No, he had to run.
Oh, somebody hit the run. Let's see. Let's see. Any other questions anybody's got here? I've got my light reflecting on the thing, so it's hard to read. Let's see. Uh,
You've got a swanky new background.
yes. Yeah.
Oh, am I gonna fly fish off the board this year? Hey, Rob. I hope so if I can get out on it.
Actually, fly fish off it. That's a lot of
Yeah,
movement, isn't it?
no, it's not. It's all in your arm, really. You're not moving your full body.
Yeah.
So, no, I did go out when I was on. Oh my goodness, what lake was that? I can't remember. It was towards the end of the summer though that I did take my fly fishing rod and whatnot. So I hope so. I mean, that's something I would definitely take it now. I do have like a travel size. I have a couple fly rods now.
Hmm.
One is just it packs down. I think it's a 8 pieces or 6 pieces rather than 4. So it packs down super small like this.
Hmm.
And it's specifically meant for backpacking. So yeah, so that will go with me. You'll be proud. Hopefully, I'll catch something.
Oh, can hand adventures. Yeah, yeah. Tarp over the hammock does help. I've actually done that once. Uh, and I put two tarps beside me to give me walls. And actually, I've slept in my actual hammock when I was inside my no bug zone. I felt okay in there just because there's walls. It makes a difference.
Yeah,
The same as the tent thing.
yeah. It's totally psychological.
Yeah, because like if a bear wanted to get you, it's gonna come right through
It's
those.
gonna take you no matter what. Like if it's hungry, it's gonna take you. Like
What about food? What kind of food do you take? I like to personally. I like to keep things simple. Like I
I
don't like to
know,
have
jube
pots to
jubes
clean.
and chicken fingers.
I'll just heat up like chicken fingers. I take in McDonald's quarter pounder with cheeseburgers. You go to McDonald's on the way and get extra patties on there, and they're so good heated up over the fire.
Mhm. Mhm. I've kind of been lazy. I'm definitely not that person that's like dehydrating everything. I don't know that I have the patience for it. So I've done a lot of dehydrated meals. If I'm just doing, most of my trips have been pretty short. Like I
Yeah,
haven't done a 7 day or whatnot. So most of the stuff I've just kind of been able to pack in. But in a lot of cases, it's kind of dehydrated meals and oatmeal in the morning and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I haven't been super adventurous in terms of the dehydrated, like doing it all myself. Um, and yeah, if I was just doing like an overnight, then I'd be more apt to do like a steak or something like that. That would be,
yeah,
um, it's more doable when it's on a short trip, but longer trips, I'll probably, especially for like lacrosse and whatnot, I'll be definitely, that's one that I'm going to have to really think about and kind of plan it out from a calorie standpoint and all that kind of stuff. So,
do you have a favorite piece of equipment?
the paddleboard, that's an easy answer, I guess, in that sense. Definitely my paddleboard now. I really enjoyed like my fly rods, fly fishing. That's been something that I've picked up over the last few years too. Um, I love my pocket rocket. which I don't know if people know what that is, but it's just like a little tiny little stove. So
Mm.
for any of the backcountry stuff, I did invest in oh my goodness, what's it called?
Well, you have a jet boil. Is that what you're talking about?
Jet. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really
Yeah,
impressed with
I
those.
just invested in that because everybody that I backpacked with had a jet boil, and I was always a little bit jealous of it. I'm like, oh man, like it takes like
Do you have the
30
Do you
seconds.
have the one with the color changing thing?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
see, mine doesn't have that.
I know. It's kind of gimmicky, but
It's
hey.
so cool.
But yeah, so no, I've really appreciated. I like my pocket rocket
Yeah,
just because it's tiny. Like you can't go wrong.
yeah,
And when you're out there, unless you're really really needing something super fast, it's a nice light kind of tool that you can kind of use, and it doesn't take up a lot of space. So
yeah,
yeah, that's probably the one thing that I just appreciate for its
yeah.
use.
Cool. Let's see. Oh, quite a few people are going to be signing up. We should sign up in a second as well because we've been going for over 40 minutes. So, but we'll be
I was
wrapping.
nervous.
What's
Like, I
that?
don't know what to talk about.
Yeah, there's plenty to talk about. Um, and so, how did we decide again? We were going to choose who give away. Were we going to at the end? We were going to randomly pick somebody, or and then contact
um,
them, or do we want to make it announce people now?
It's up to you. You go.
Okay, I'm gonna just I'm gonna count some of the things here, and then I'm gonna get you to give me a number between one and whatever. Hang on a second.
Okay. I'm just gonna sit here and drink wine while you do this. Who else is here?
Okay, give me
All
a
right.
give me a number between 1 and 50.
1 and 50.
Yep.
50. I'm gonna say 23. It's my birthday.
Okay, let me figure out who that is. Hold on. Canoe Hound Adventures.
Nice.
Are
Um,
you still on listening to us? You must be because you just did. Yeah.
nice. Okay.
So what was that for? Stickers or the T-shirt? We didn't say, but you can choose because whichever one you were
Uh,
going to give away first.
ask. What do you want?
There you go. You get to choose because you were the first one.
You're the
If you're
first
still
one.
there listening to us, we're about 15 seconds ahead of what you guys will hear. So we'll wait
Oh,
15 seconds and see what you want.
okay. So in the meantime, you should.
We'll
Okay.
pick
What's
we'll
the number?
pick another one.
Uh,
All right. Yes, you're here. You win a T-shirt or stickers. Pack of stickers. Which would you prefer? It's going to take a while till we get the answer.
so 4. Go low.
Okay. Oh, 4. Okay, let me. I got to see where I started at.
Okay. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. By the way,
Where did
that
I
was super fun.
start? Well, hang on. I got to figure out where I see. Oh, stickers.
Okay.
Stickers. Okay, so somebody gets a shirt. I got to figure out where I was starting my numbers from.
Number 4.
Yeah, I know, but I started at the bottom, and now there's a lot more. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kelly.
Nice, Kelly. Kelly wanted a shirt, so
Oh, there you go.
okay. So I'll get in touch with you guys and get your
Yeah.
addresses and
Do
what.
you have? You have your own. Do you have a YouTube channel, right?
I don't have a
You
YouTube
don't. Well,
channel.
how
No.
are you watching this? Or are you just watching the
Well, I
link?
have a YouTube.
Okay, so go to Wild and Found on Facebook, right? Or Instagram, either.
Either or. Instagram's probably easier, and I think you guys both follow me. So just shoot me your address,
Yeah,
and I'll
do
get.
that, and Erin will send you that
Nice.
too.
Yay!
So, I'm not giving away anything tonight myself, but I do have a whole pile of Get Outside T-shirts and buffs, which were planned to be available when we were going to have the premiere party. But of course, that has been put off. So once we're allowed to get together again, we'll have a watch party for anybody who wants to actually come and watch all 6 episodes of season 2 of Get Outside, and there'll be lots of cool stuff, stickers and buffs and T-shirts and stuff for sale there. And yeah, and in the meantime, keep checking TV1 if you have Bell and watch it there too. If the more people that watch it, better chance we'll have a third season. So,
Episode of me laughing at you.
what's that? You're laughing at me?
I said it's gonna be a whole episode of me just laughing.
Oh,
at
on the
you.
paddleboard, yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you everybody so much for coming out and watching and listening with us. I'm gonna be continuing to do this, so if there's anybody that would like to actually join me on one of these, I'd love to have you. Just send me a message and we'll arrange a date. Right now, I've sort of been generally picking like Thursday nights and Sunday nights. It doesn't have to be that, but that's kind of.
Wednesdays.
Oh yeah, no. Wednesdays is Survivor, so I think next Thursday, Tim and I are going to have a little chat, and we'll also be talking a bit about Survivor because we're both big Survivor fans. I know some of you people are too. So hey, if you want to talk about Survivor, we'll we'll talk about what's going on in Survivor. And then I'm going to actually invite. Hopefully, she wants to do it. I have a friend who was actually on Survivor, and maybe she'll be interested in doing a chat.
That's awesome.
About outdoor stuff and what it was like on the show. So, yeah, thank you so much, Erin, for doing this, and thank you guys all for watching. And until next time, we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.